Good afternoon and welcome to Biztech Asian Midday Marketwatch. Our guest today is Gabriel Yap, Executive Chairman of GCP Global. Gabriel, it's always good to have you on the show.
Thanks for having me, Brian.
Now, Gabriel, before we start and get your insights, I'm going to take a look first at crypto markets, and then after that, we're going to look at how regional stock markets are performing. Now, we start with Bitcoin, which is at 59,000. So it's dipped below the 60,000 mark, 59,430.3. It's down 2.98%. Ethereum is at 4,144.03. It's down 4.68%. Now, over to regional stock markets, the SGX is at 3,229.25. It's down 0.29%. Now, across the region, we have the KLCI, which is at 1,521.99. It's down 0.06%. Shanghai is at 3,531.95. It is up 0.29%. The ASX is at 7,702.10. It's down 0.58%. The Nikkei is at 29,724. It's down 0.28%. The Hang Seng is at 25,602.12. It's down 0.43%. And rounding up the numbers, which is largely negative, is the Kospi, which is at 2,970.68. It's down 0.89%. Now, Gabriel, what's your view on how markets have performed this morning?
I think markets basically performed rather well in the beginning of this week because of Xi Jinping as well as President Biden virtual meeting. I think markets basically in Asia, particularly Hong Kong and China, actually went up because of that. So now that the meeting is actually over, there's actually some semblance of profit taking while waiting for the next positive corporate news that's actually emanating from the US.
Now, Gabriel, I want to ask you a little bit about the Chinese tech stock recovery. Now, you are heavily invested in China, and I'm going to put in Chinese tech stocks, and I'm going to put that on screen. We have got a significant recovery. Tell us about some of your holdings and what you're looking out for.
Right. We basically have always liked gaming companies, so Tencent and NetEase fit in very, very nicely there. You can see that both NetEase and Tencent is staging a very strong recovery. We reckon that the momentum of recovery may continue if indeed the press in China, which reported this morning that after the being banned for the last 3 months, the Chinese authorities may start to approve new games. You notice that last 3 months it was buffeted by a whole host of bad news, like for example, the limitation of 3 hours viewing for gaming for minors, and the classification of what is actually a minor in terms of actually some of the games. But in between, you notice that some of the new games that were launched prior to 31st August of this year are actually receiving very, very good response. Very good examples are Harry Potter by NetEase has done very well with a lot of record downloads. So the moving from gaming, you look at basically the e-commerce giant that's Alibaba. I think the results coming out from Alibaba may continue to ascertain that it's still the biggest e-commerce play other than Amazon, and still thriving despite the curbs that we've seen on Alibaba and its associates, for the whole of this year. And then the likes of basically Baidu, which is reporting tonight in the US, as well as basically Meituan, may actually set the stage for a continual recovery for this China tech names, which has been buffeted down or held back since the beginning of this year.
Okay, I want to still stay in gaming, but move over to the US. There are two key themes that are dominating the gaming scene right now. One is the shortage of chips. The second thing is the Activision scandal. Gabriel, could you shed some light on those two separate events?
Right. If you notice, in fact, the last 2 days, The likes of Activision Blizzard share price, which got hammered down to 66 yesterday in the US, as well as actually Electronic Art, which got hammered down to 139 yesterday in the US, as well as Take-Two. Take-Two was actually up to 177 yesterday in the US. Have been in the forefront. I think essentially when they released results just a week ago, Activision Blizzard actually disappointed because not because the earnings disappointed, but because market was actually waiting for a launch of their two particular games. That's W number 4. That's been pushed back next year. In fact, if you look at the slew of games that was actually being, or new games to be dished out by these three companies, that's EA, Activision, Blizzard, as well as Take-Two, they have announced in their results just recently is in the last 2 weeks, that they'll be pushed back next week. And a main cause of this is the chip shortage you are still seeing. Not only in the EV sector, you are seeing this in the chip sector, and that's actually affecting gaming. As you know, in Apple, they have already have to cut back on their projected shipment by 10 million, because of the chip shortage. So that's actually affecting the game industry itself. So it's something basically that's one of kind of things that happens in the last 20 years. But I'm actually taking this shortage as a very good buying opportunity if the share price react because of that.
Now, Gabriel, on a final note, you're having a seminar shortly, I think sometime next month. And we've just got this on screen. Tell us a little bit more about this.
Right. Thanks, Brian, for sharing this. I think we in Singapore, it's very exciting because after being in a down market for the longest period of time, now there is actually a takeover effects on SPH, Singapore Press Holdings. So there have been counter offers, as you have seen, and we have addressed this in your show last week. And then right now, also there is a merger that's actually proposed by ESR REIT with ARA logos. This is very interesting because in the far trials mergers, you actually have valuations done on a certain semblance of the price to book, price to NTA valuation. Now, this is the only merger that's been proposed that's going to be based on the 52-week high in terms of the market price. So it changes the metric, it changes the parameters, and is a very exciting one. And more importantly, we have in studio a special guest that's basically the CEO of ESR REIT, Mr. Adrian Chu. So I do hope that your viewers across Asia will be able to join us, as well as you, Brian, to enjoy us in this fantastic event. As you know, every year we dish out a Christmas special for our viewers, including for yours.
Thank you very much, Gabriel. We've been speaking to Gabriel Riap, Executive Chairman of GCP Global, on Biztech Asian Midday Marketwatch. I'm Brian Fernandez. This video and podcast will be on our various social media platforms, as well as our website, www.biztech.asia. Please like and subscribe to our various platforms. Thank you very much for tuning in.